Coming up on Network Africa. Main opposition party in Côte d'Ivoire names its candidate for October election. Displaced families face dire humanitarian crisis in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Plus, a United Nations top official visits Somalia amid peace and development efforts. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Lido Olarinde. We begin in Côte d'Ivoire, where the main opposition party has formally named its leader, Tidjane Thiam, as its candidate for this year's presidential election. The businessman and former minister, currently outside of the country, had to fend off a row over his nationality, with opponents saying his past French citizenship disqualifies him from the contest. Meanwhile, three other prominent figures, including former President Laurent Gbagbo, have been barred from running. According to provisional results of the party, Thiam obtained 99.5% of the votes at the party's convention, with a turnout of 93%. In Senegal, officials have confirmed the arrests of 5 former ministers following the COVID-19 funds embezzlement case. Public prosecutor Ibrahima Ndoye announced that the arrests were ordered and carried out while giving an update on the ongoing investigation into the mismanagement of Senegal's COVID-19 force fund. Mr. Ndoye details the report that targeted former government ministries, including health, culture, sports and community development. The officials also announced that the second wave of arrests was targeted at hospital managers and accountants that were exercising broader management and accountability. According to the Attorney General on the case, Mbake Fall, he says the 5 former ministers now face legal proceedings before the High Court of Senegal. The U.S. Embassy in Zambia is warning its citizens to be wary of a new intrusive cybersecurity law introduced in the southern African country. The embassy issued this alert telling Americans in or planning to visit Zambia of a new law that requires the interception and surveillance of all electronic communications in the country. Now, this includes calls, emails, texts, and streamed content in country to assess if they include any transmission of critical information. And according to the law, the term is defined so broadly that it could apply to almost any activity. Well, in response to the alert from the U.S. Embassy, Zambia's Foreign Ministry says the new Cybersecurity Act is not intended to invade anyone's privacy, whether Zambians or foreigners. They also add that the law is needed to tackle online fraud and child pornography, as well as the spread of disinformation. Let's head to the Democratic Republic of Congo now. As violence continues to escalate in the eastern region, families that are returning to their communities after months of displacement are meeting ruin, hunger and uncertainty. The most recent wave of displacement, triggered by renewed violence and the dismantling of internally displaced persons camps, has forced over 1 million people into precarious conditions. Meanwhile, the United Nations is warning that the situation in the DRC remains one of the most complex and underfunded humanitarian crises. Well, today is Good Friday, a day observed in solemnity by Christians around the globe, as it marks events leading up to the crucifixion and Christ's miraculous resurrection on Easter Sunday. In Christendom, the period is known and referred to as Holy Week, and from the foundation of Faith, Good Friday, has been the core of the Christian message because it is through the death of Jesus Christ that Christians believe and receive the forgiveness of sins. In Nigeria and across the globe, Christians of Orthodox extraction commemorate Good Friday with a symbolic dramatization of the Stations of the Cross, reminding the faithful of the sufferings of their Messiah before his eventual crucifixion. The federal government has declared today, Friday the 18th, and Monday the 21st of April as public holidays to enable Christians celebrate this year's Easter. In a statement by the Ministry of Interior's Permanent Secretary on Tuesday in Abuja, the minister extended his heartfelt congratulations to Christians across the country as they observed the Easter festivities. Well, it's been quite a hectic Good Friday for many Lagosians, motorists traveling out of Lagos, as well as those coming into the city for the Easter break, have been stranded as a result of an early morning accident that involved multiple vehicles with unconfirmed number of casualties. The incident at the Kara Bridge, like you can see, outbound Lagos along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, led to significant traffic congestion, stretching back to the Otedola Bridge and Alausa Secretariat, Ikeja. As of this moment, the accident has been cleared, but the backlog still remains. Emergency responders, including the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Federal Road Safety Corps, the Nigeria Police Force, and the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, and also Ogun State Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Agency we're all on ground to ensure the safety of lives and also to clear the gridlock.
Let me quickly say that it was an act of a lack of patience that actually caused this multiple crash, because 7 vehicles are involved. There was a little hiccup in front from an eyewitness account. So, slowing down, a truck, a container carrying truck, ran into a smaller vehicle, which eventually ran into 5 other vehicles, which means that container and 6 other vehicles are involved. But one good thing is that while 5 persons were injured, no life was lost. As at the time of rescue, nobody was dead. When crash happened, to take danger away from the casualty, or the casualty away from the danger. So a situation where they are taking the injured victims away from where another secondary crash will happen, people might see it as if they are dead. No. As at the time we were given this report, there is no death. If there is any after, then we'll be able to say, but for now, there is not. Now, what we are doing is to ensure that we clear the road of obstruction, which we have done. Then we are contacted the LASEMA and other agencies for crane, so that we can lift up and take away the container. However, the road has been open to traffic.
In Somalia, the United Nations Office for Project Services Chief George da Silva is reaffirming the UN's commitment to Somalia's peace and development. On a 2-day visit to Mogadishu, the chief inaugurated a new country office, touring key health and infrastructure projects and strengthening partnerships with Somali authorities and international donors. On his first visit to Somalia, Mr. Da Silva met with the Deputy Prime Minister of the federal government, that's Abdi Salami Abdi Ali, and the Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Bashir Mohammed Jamba.
Our commitment with the country is a commitment on sustainable development. And sustainable development starts with peace, and it continues with a people-centered approach, protecting people from the crisis and supporting them on the recovery and on the longer development pathway. And we are committed to do so, to stay and deliver. In these 2 days, I could see the impact of our projects. The blood bank that we have constructed in partnership with UNFPA, WHO, and with the government created for the first time in Somalia an infrastructure that is a life-saving infrastructure. This is not just an office, this is not just a building, a place where you work and some of you also stay overnight. This is a signal of commitment to the people we serve. I expressed it already in my meeting with my colleagues, the huge admiration for the work that we are doing here and the fact that they have been able to convene all the agencies, all the system into this mission. The mission of supporting the country, supporting the people, and staying and delivering.
I do believe it demonstrates a very strong commitment of UNOPS to its engagement in Somalia, to alignment with national priorities, and to working together as part of a one UN team towards achieving those national priorities.
With this equipment that we are providing since a few years, together with a partner UNOPS, we hope that the efforts out in the field will be facilitated.
Let's take a break now on Network Africa. Still to come. Welcome back to the program. We continue here in Nigeria, over in Imo State, in a bold move to tackle the growing menace of fake news. The state government, through the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Electronic and Creative Media, in partnership with Africa Check, has organized a seminar focused on disinformation and misinformation. According to the organizers, the seminar is a non-partisan platform where journalists, public relations consultants, strategic communication advisors, and new media influencers engage in conversations aimed at charting a new course for truth in public communication and addressing the dangers posed by disinformation. Our correspondent Eitopo Ekutei has the details.
Relax, we'll discuss, but we're going to take it short.
Journalists, new media influencers, public relations consultants, and strategic communication advisors gather for a seminar on disinformation and misinformation, organized by the Imo State government in collaboration with Africa Check, an independent fact-checking organization committed to promoting accuracy in public discourse across Africa. The seminar, according to the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Electronic and Creative Media, Ambrose Nwogugu, comes at a critical time when a single misleading post has the potential to spark widespread unrest.
This seminar, though organized from our office and in partnership with Africa Check, is not a government program. It is a non-partisan and people-centered. We have deliberately created a neutral platform where the truth is not filled with political lens, where even the most opposing media voices can sit side by side, bound by a shared love for a safer society.
Some lecturers at the event highlight the devastating impact of fake news on societal trust and cohesion and outlines practical steps to stop the spread.
Disinformation and fake news have become a serious threat to our democracy and institution, as well as to public safety and security, particularly here in Imo State. And as law enforcement agency, we at the Nigerian Police Force Imo State Command is fully aware of the damaging impact of false narratives, fake news, as well as misleading online content.
The internet is a web of distortion, inclusion, and exclusion, where there is total liberalization and democratization of rights. People go in and have access and say whatever they want to say without considering the consequences. And that is what digital transformation has also caused. That's part of the downsides of it. Not minding the numerous gains humanity has gained as a result of digital evolution.
Or before you broadcast, to ensure accuracy, you must fact check. And if you're not sure, you leave out. it's not a must to carry it on. If you're not sure, you leave out. You have to source evaluation. You critically assess your sources to determine credibility and reliability.
Others share their perspective on the dangers of misinformation.
Or information that is inaccurate. It is misleading, it is fabricated, and intended to cause serious tension in the policy with whatever news that's being put out there, or even content that is also put out there.
What I don't understand is why some individuals want to trend, want to cash out on what will bring insecurity, what is not to the general group of us all. Because such information definitely is going to cause public panic here in the States and even to those outside.
Participants described the seminar as a timely and necessary intervention to build public trust.
My take-up is simple, is to go and look at some of the apps they've really talked about, find out how they can be useful, because some of these apps were also made by human beings. You also want to find out whether they can also be relied upon.
We have laws that mandate that people in government offices and spaces should make information open and available readily on request to the public. If we can fully call for the implementation of a law like the Freedom of Information Law, for instance, the FOI law, I think we will see a drastic reduction in this malaise of fake news peddling.
Organizers believe initiatives like this serve as a critical step towards building a more informed and resilient society. Ejitope Kute, Channels Television News.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. Today we are shining the spotlight on women in tech in Nigeria. Despite challenges in the country, many women are making significant strides in this industry. Well, joining us now for more discussion on this is Iklima Musa Salihu. She's the founder of TechBridge Foundation and the SA to the DG of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. Thank you for joining us on Africa Tech.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, how would you assess the representation of women in Nigeria that we have now in tech leadership roles?
Let me start by saying that the empowerment of women in technology isn't just about changing lives, but it is about changing the future of innovation itself. I would say that over the years, we have seen a significant change in the representation of women in technology, not just in Nigeria, but globally as well. One of the statistics that was revealed by one campaign and the Center for Global Development revealed that 30% of the 93 surveyed technology firms in the country are being owned by women. However, more needs to be done to increase the representation of women, which is why institutions like the National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA, under the leadership of my boss, Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, CCI, is currently driving the implementation of the National Gender Digital Inclusion Strategy for breaching the persistent and the consistent gap that exists in technology in the country. Again, I would love to also mention that of recent, we have seen quite a lot of female founders that are doing explosive things within the innovation ecosystem. A key example of that is Odunayo Eweni of Piggyvest, who revolutionized digital savings, and also another person is Ifoma Udo of She Included, that are creating access to mentorship, supportive network, and digital inclusion and financial inclusion for women as well.
Well, just like you've highlighted, I mean, the role of women in this industry is important, as with other industries. But what do you emphasize for the future? You know, women, positions for women in shaping the future of tech, particularly in our country?
So for the future of women, looking at again a statistics that we saw from World Wide Web, it says that Nigeria could unlock $13 billion in GDP over the next decade if national gender gap is closed. So for that, I will say that we require a lot of structural and deliberate approach into closing this gap needs to be put in place. We understand that there are some systemic and structural challenges that exist within the digital innovation ecosystem, such as lack of digital literacy, which is a lot of times reinforced by social cultural norms, biases that exist within our region. We also note that there is the lack of female focused network. There is the lack of financial constraint that is hindering a lot of women in having access into ICT infrastructure, services, and tools. There is also the lack of unsafe online experience hindering girls from participating in the digital economy, as well as income disparity. So there is the need for a structured approach and collaboration and putting heads together. Everybody needs to come together to be able to bridge the gaps that exist, understand that these challenges are daunting, and to implement activities that will help close up the challenges I just talked about. Thank you.
All right, then. Thank you, Iklima Musa Salihu, founder, TechBridge Foundation, and the SE to the DG of NITDA. Thank you for joining us on Africa Tech.
Thank you for having me.
That's where we end the program for today and for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olandi. Have a lovely weekend.